It sounded sarcastic, but I was actually really taken aback. This was because he vaguely remembered that whoever had asked him to curse the girl had told him that he would only do it in advance, just in case, that he would not use it and that he would come back later to undo it. You usually accumulate sins with your mouth. You should stop saying things like, "My mouth is swollen. My daughter is alive. I take you here to undo that curse." Roderick spoke in a low, growling voice. It took superhuman patience to resist the urge to wring her neck and kill her at any moment. Ah, so that was it. In that situation, I would be happy to help. Casting that complex curse was a lot of fun, so breaking it certainly would be. He could also see how much he had grown compared to his previous self. Suki smiled as if she found it quite interesting. "Is this situation interesting?" Roderick asked in an angry voice. The parents of the girl she had cursed came to her, armed. No matter how much she thought about it, it was no laughing matter, but Suki scoffed and replied, "Whatever." Yes. There's no reason it shouldn't be fun. Although fools like you wouldn't understand. In response, Roderick unconsciously clenched his fist. He seemed ready to give him a good punch if Isidore didn't stop him. Isidore grabbed his brother-in-law's arm and quickly stopped him. He was equally angry at Suki's attitude, but it was time to tough it out. For no one but Isla. The only person who could break Isla's curse was Suki. He said he would cooperate now, but he was a person who could change his mind at any time. It felt a little unfair to have to please her, someone who was like an enemy to them, but in any case, they were the ones who would be in trouble if they went against Suki's wishes. As if Isidore's intentions had been understood, Roderick relaxed his fist. "What are we going to do now? I can't just take her home, right?" Isidore asked in a low voice. Given Suki's unique appearance, taking her to a house where at least 2 spies were lurking would certainly raise suspicion. Sure, if you stop by somewhere to change your clothes and cover your tattoos with magic, you may seem normal, but still, wouldn't they be suspicious if someone was suddenly brought home from hunting? Roderick, who had been thoughtful for a moment at her question, answered in a low voice, as expected. On the way to the farm, there is a small village with no permanent employees. There is a dungeon there, so let's go there for now. Yes, it would be fine. Now that we have started training the successor, it wouldn't be strange for you to survey the territory. If they hid Suki in the villa for a while and then took Isla out of the mansion to go there, they could avoid Byron's gaze. There was the problem that Laura, Isla's maid, would naturally follow them, but that was something that could be considered later. Suki stared at the 2 whispering men in front of her for a moment before sticking her head out the window. Although he was curious about what they were talking about, he couldn't show any interest in the criminal stories. As a genius sorceress, it would be a blow to her pride. "It seems like you're getting used to going around the track alone, so I think it's good that you try a little faster today, miss." At Alexia Dexon's words, Isla, dressed in riding clothes, nodded. Today was her 3rd riding class. Isla, with her long hair and a high ponytail, climbed onto a horse her father had given her for her birthday. She was a 2-year-old white mare named Wednesday. "Hiya." Isla gave the horse a gentle kick with her foot, and the horse galloped away. The fresh, sweet winter breeze caressed her face. He thought he knew why Roderick had named his horse after the wind. He urged his horse, quickening his pace a little. The faster he spoke, the harder Isla's heart seemed to beat. The track, which normally seemed short, felt even shorter today. Before he knew it, the end was in sight. Isla pulled the reins and stopped the horse. Despite going at a very fast pace, he managed to stop it with stability. He lightly jumped off the horse and caressed its neck. The beautiful white horse closed its eyes, docile to its master's touch, enjoying the contact. "You learn very quickly, miss. I can't believe I've only been learning for a month." When Alexia, who had approached without her knowledge, beamed and praised her, Isla responded with an awkward smile. She had learned that in situations like this she should show humility and not overestimate her, but perhaps because she still didn't feel comfortable with her, she couldn't speak well. And, in fact, it was undeniable that he learned quickly. Isla always thought her skills improved slower than others, but with horse riding, she seemed to improve quickly without much effort. He could use it comfortably, as if the horse had become a part of his body. His Excellency, the Duke, was also like that. He started riding horses as soon as he learned to walk, and before he was 10 years old he was already performing all kinds of tricks on horseback. It seems that you, young lady, have taken after your father. As Alexia recounted Roderick's stories of bravery, some true and some just anecdotes, Isla perked up and listened attentively. A story about his father's childhood. Isn't it really interesting? Oh really? My father was so good at riding horses since he was little. If I had started early, I would have learned as quickly as Your Excellency. In fact, I could have mastered it even faster. Judging by the speed at which he is improving his skills. Isla, unable to overcome her embarrassment at Alexia's continued praise, covered her face with her hands. That can't be true. My father is a great man. Alexia thought it was adorable to see Isla blushing up to her ears and hanging her head, but at the same time, she felt a little sorry for her. Alexia couldn't believe she was so immune to praise. I could sense, without even hearing the whole story, how much persecution he had endured. Although it was only for a short time until Roderick's return, she felt compelled to do her best to pamper this young woman with low self-esteem while teaching her. There is still plenty of time. Would you like to run around the city one more time? I think it would be a good idea to run with me this time. When Alexia suggested, looking at her watch, Isla nodded happily. Brilliant. Riding lessons always seemed too short for her, so she would love to ride again. Of course, it was thought impossible for Isla, who had just started learning to ride, to beat Alexia, who had been riding horses all her life. But once she got on the horse, Isla felt a competitive spirit burning inside her that she didn't even know existed. If I could win, I wanted to win. How exciting it would be to cross the finish line faster than anyone else. He urged his horse forward, his mind wandering to sweet thoughts. And the result was, of course, Isla's defeat. Despite her defeat, she was not angry. Although her face was red from the cold wind, Isla smiled with a genuinely relieved and renewed expression. He was doing what he loved, so that was enough. See you later, wind. Isla stroked the horse's mane, which had become one with her and cut through the wind, and greeted him warmly. The white horse, apparently understanding his words, blinked its clear eyes as if responding to his greeting. After saying goodbye to Alexia and returning to her room, Isla soaked in the hot bath that Lisa had prepared in advance. There was no paradise other than the drowsy dream that invaded her. But that good mood was shattered when Laura entered the bathroom, making a lot of irritating noises. Praise someone for something so trivial. Miss, don't be fooled by those sweet words. I tell him that everything has a purpose. The only person who really cares about you is your father. You know that, right? It was natural to doubt Alexia's intentions in praising her and belittling her abilities. What's the point of learning to ride a horse with so much effort? It won't do you any good in your quest for revenge, miss. He even said that his favorite sport, horse riding, was useless and there was no need to exert himself. The Duke is teaching me personally, so I should at least pretend to be diligent. This way I will earn your favor. Isla sighed and made up an excuse. Luckily, Laura seemed to accept it naturally. After enduring the harrowing moment with Laura, he received an unexpected reward. At dinner, Ophelia announced the return of Roderick and Isidore. Rachel and Michelle were also delighted to hear that their father was returning, but not as excited as Isla. Those who had gone to capture the mage who cursed her were also returning. Maybe now, that damn curse could be lifted. Isla shifted, watching her mother carefully. He had so many questions to ask, like what had happened and if he had caught that sorceress named Suki in Sidio. But with so many eyes watching her, she didn't dare ask. And when Ophelia locked eyes with her daughter, she winked and smiled. It was a silent expression that told him not to worry, that everything was fine. Thank God. Isla rubbed her chest and popped the steak into her mouth. The meat seemed to melt in his mouth.